Welcome back to the Trading Show. I'm David. I'm joined with
Big Dog.
Big Dog.
Big Dog.
All right, guys. No, Brandon, today I brought in the reinforcement.
Big Dog.
I am doing my absolute best to patiently wait to get tapped in on this trade. I almost got tapped in up here. Didn't get tapped in. I moved my limit order down, my entry. Bitcoin, I'm telling you guys, it is about to roll over hard. 10-minute looks ugly. We got multiple yellow X's. 5-minute looks the same. 2-hour just gave us a trigger wave short here. The microest of trigger waves, and those typically do play out after we saw a big blood diamond on the 2-hour time frame. I am waiting to get tapped in, and my original entry on a limit order was this volume area here at 65,616. That is where I had my original limit order. It did not get tapped. You can see we got that wick, and then it fell. But I do think Bitcoin's about to have a pretty nasty washout. I want to say below 64.5. That is kind of what I'm targeting, and my TP right now, if I get tapped in, is set at 64,863. But you guys know, as the trades get tapped in, we do adjust those in real time. And so if you're watching us and you want to follow along, highly recommend you kind of pay attention. Also, today what I might be doing is a little community trade. But right now, I am biased short for Bitcoin. So anyone that wants to follow me, we're waiting for a scam wick, a scam rally, a bullshit push to the upside, so we can get tapped in. I did move my limit order down to this 9-day moving average on the 5-minute time frame here on Bitunix at 65,461. This is for half a Bitcoin. That is a position size, half a Bitcoin. And man, I don't know, dude. Do you think we'll get tapped in here? And do you kind of agree with the direction of where Bitcoin's going? Every time frame to me, the 1 hour, the 2 hour, the 4 hour, the 6 hour, the 8 hour, even the lower time frames, it's telling me, it's screaming to me that we're going to see a big rollover here. What are your thoughts, Rob? And do you think we should adjust this limit long order or limit short order here?
Oh man. Okay. So a couple of things that I'm looking at when it comes to price is this wick bottom that we put in here. So this is on the 4 hour. So zooming out a little bit. So I know you're asking more about the short-term trades, which I'm going to get into there in a second. But for myself personally, when you typically see a big spill off and you go in and you put in a new low, and especially a candle wick low, and then bounce, you tend to get magnetically attracted back to that point, right? And it's usually within a shorter term time window. It's usually not anything crazy long. And you can look back to when these things kind of happen, right? Like at one point we spilled off from 105,000. We dropped down to 80,000. And then, you know, we kept going back down to 80,000 thereafter. And so for me, I think that we're going to go back down to the 60K range. Now, I think that's the direction we're going, and I think that we're going there quite in a quick fashion, right? So what I think we're going to see
Do you think that happens by the end of the weekend? So come Monday morning, are we below 60K, or did we wick below 60K?
I think we're going to bounce to 60K. Or potentially you got, if you look here, oh, shoot, if you take a peek here, you can see that on the way down, even though we had a wick here, we more or less bounced at 62, right? We did have a quick wick down to 60,000, but you're either going to go down to 62, which I think is actually, I'm kind of 50-50 on this. I think if we do go down to 62, I'm 50-50 on whether or not we bounce there, or if we go down to 60 and bounce.
When you say bounce there, now what we can see too, though, is we see a small bounce, maybe a 3% relief rally, and then that final dip.
And I think if you get a small bounce, it's going to be, I know we don't talk about it much, but an inverse cup and handle here. And so if you look here, ultimately you got the cup, and then you could get a bounce here like so, and then ultimately spill down. And then, or you just go straight down to 60. Now, I don't know if we go straight down to 60. I feel confident about the bounce. So the way that I'm playing this out, these are 4-hour candles. So this isn't the weekly chart or anything crazy like that, or even the daily chart. And so I do think that within the next 48 hours, particularly within the next 24 hours, more than likely, we're going to go down and test 62,000. You might say, Rob, what do you mean we're going to go down and test 62,000? We're at $65,000 Bitcoin. I think that's where we're going. I think that's the direction we're going. And so to answer your question on a trade setup, I believe that over the next 8 to 12 hours, we're going to have a little bit more downside. And I think that downside goes down at 62,000.
Yeah,
and so where's your entry position? Are you going short?
I'm short, yeah. Can we throw this on the wall here? Looks like I'm hopefully going to get tapped in here. So again, guys, looking at the lower time frames, 5-minute double yellow X. We just did get a double green dot. Let me go ahead and move this up just a tad bit. And I might regret that decision, but I don't worry about adjusting. Did get a double green dot on the 5-minute, but we did get those multiple yellow X's, right? Manipulations. Same thing on the 15-minute double green dot, or excuse me, 10-minute, 15-minute. There's a lot of weakness in the market here. Okay. And then the 2 hours, really the selling point for me. Blood Diamond. Right now we're printing a little bit of a doji, but we did get that red. Trigger wave for a short here, and you can see right now on the wall back here, we're looking at, originally I had my limit order set at that 9-day moving average. You see it start to curve up a little bit, meaning there's a little bit of a relief rally in the market right now. What we could be seeing, depending on what the candle you're seeing now, if we see that spike in volume on the bottom, that could be a potential Morningstar pattern, which should see a push to the upside. If this candle session closes, which it looks like it closes in about 3 minutes, if it closes and volume spikes, let's say volume beats out the last maybe 10 trading sessions, at that point I would probably move my limit order up a little bit. I'm trying to get a premium entry on this Bitcoin short here, so I make sure that when I set my stop loss, I'm not taking too much of an L. Although I think the safest stop loss you can set is at $66,200. That is where your VWAP lands. That is where Bitcoin's gotten rejected pretty much all morning long. But you can see right now, in real time, we're seeing that moving average keep tethering back and forth, right? There's a lot of volatility in Bitcoin, but I'm telling you guys, this thing is going to roll over. It's going to fall below 65K. It's probably going to go to the low 64s. We're going to take our money and we're going to run with it. And so that's kind of where I'm at, Rob. I did move it up to 65,491. We can go back to the lower time frames here on Bitcoin. We can take a look at the 5-minute. We got a VWAP band sitting right at 66K for Bitcoin. You can see we failed to even get up there the last 3 attempts. And in succession, we put in 3 lower highs and 3 lower lows. Now, could this be the breakout? Because typically when you see breakouts, and there, I got tapped in. I was going to move it up a little bit. Anyways, okay, so we're tapped into the trade. Anyone that wants to follow along, just be aware. There is a fairly good chance. I was kind of going through the time frames, and to me, this might have been a little bit of a push up to that 66K. Because eventually you start making lower lows and lower highs, you're eventually going to break that, right? It ends up being a falling channel. Now, although this is going to be in the very short term, this trade might be underwater for a little bit, but I think ultimately, if we remain patient, we have our stop loss above that 66,150, and we have our TP set at, where's our TP? Do we even have a TP set? We don't. Let's go ahead and set our TP right now, 6643 or 64,309. This trade might be underwater. We might come up and test this 65,683. But at the end of the day, I think by the end of the trading show, we will close this trade out in the profit. So those of you that have a Bitunix account, you can literally just copy this trade. Entry was at 65,491. Stop loss 66,142. And our take profit is sitting at 64,309. Now, you guys know my trading style. If I am happy with the number I see on the screen here in green, I will take my profits early. If not, if we're seeing a cascading kind of push to the downside, I will move my stop loss aggressively into the profit, and I'll continue to slide my TP down to make sure that 1, it's a winning trade no matter what, even if it goes against us, but 2, we're maximizing the most amount of profits as possible. So How are you feeling with these levels here, Rob? The TP at
Where's your stop loss at?
66,142.
Okay.
So giving us some clearance here above our VWAP line. But I'm telling you, man, everything I'm seeing here is telling me that Bitcoin is going to roll over. Although we did get a little spike in volume here. That's what I'm saying. Lower time frames, we might be underwater on this trade for just a little bit. But ultimately, I think this is going to end up being a winning trade. 2 hour still looks prime for a short. I like this. We saw something similar on the 2 hour time frame here with the red dot trigger wave. If I can find, I think it was this one right here. Let's take a peek. Red dot trigger wave with a baby blood diamond. Or excuse me, with a big blood diamond. Let's get rid of that. So this one actually had almost no relief rally. We take a look here. We zoom in. We had confluence here. Blood diamond plus your trigger short wave. We did get a little bit of a rally right off the gates here on Bitcoin. Open was 83,506, and the high for the trading session was 83,600. So it went up about $100 before it ultimately started to dip. But that move to the downside, guys, was pretty big. This was a really nice trade setup, right? If you enter it on the very next candle and you nailed the low, that's a 10% move, my friends. And when you're trading with leverage or high margin, that is a pretty big payday. So we're not looking for anything crazy. We'll be happy with 25 to 30% shit. Depending on how the market reacts or how Bitcoin goes, we might even be happy with 8 to 10%. Either way, we're going to make some money on this trade. That's kind of where I'm at for this one. But what are your thoughts on this? I mean, are you good with this TP level here? 64,309. Are you seeing anything on your Bitcoin chart that's kind of on the lower time frames?
I'm just kind of looking at the move. I'm just kind of evaluating your position and seeing, just on different time frames what the markets are kind of looking like. Here, this is the 2 hour on Bitcoin. And you can see that we had quite a large spill off. And so going back on all the way to the 26, so back to the 26, you have $76,000 Bitcoin, and we just spilled off. We didn't get any relief rally at all on the way down. And this went from the fourth. I don't know. I'm all backwards on my days here. So from the 4th, we spilled off all the way down to the 5th. So in a matter of 12 hours, in the matter of 24 hours, we spilled off 75,000 down to 62. And now I think we're seeing something kind of comparable on this move here. We rounded out. Now we're starting to sell off. We had 2 giant red candles. I'm not going to lie, on the short term, it's a little concerning, that short position. I wouldn't go all in on it, just because we're a little overextended on the we're a little overextended here to the downside. We're hugging the bottom of the Bollinger Band on the way down. So on the shorter time windows, it might look like we might consolidate here or perhaps reverse. But on the longer time windows, I do think that we're going to have more of a spill off. And so I'm kind of 50-50 on your position there, David. I'll be honest with you. But I think on the short term, you are leaning for consolidation, perhaps even a bounce. However, on the longer time windows, I do think that this continuation does happen, even if we do get a bounce or find some support here. I think that it's short-lived, and I think that we continue to the downside.
That's kind of where I'm at too.
My question is, if there is a bounce, will it
stop out my trade?
Will it stop out? Will it go to 66.1? I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't even feel comfortable putting it, because if you do bounce, I mean, you could easily, and if you look here just on the 1 hour chart, you take a look. If we were to bounce and get a significant bounce, I mean, you could easily go all the way here to 68,000. Yeah. And that's probably where I think if you did get a very strong rally, you could go to there. So I think you're better off just keeping your $66,000 stop loss, yeah, and not trying to move it up. and then just seeing which way the market goes. I like the trade. I think ultimately it'll. Ultimately, yeah, we're gonna see. It's basically a $65,000 support level, just an extremely large support zone, big psychological number.
Here's the thing, though. Let's say theoretically, I were to move this up to 65K, right? We're still making 250.
The profit?
Yeah. Let's say I move it up to 65. If you're like, hey, I think Bitcoin's gonna get bounced here at 65, I'm like, okay, I get it. We move our TP up. We're still making 250.
I honestly, dude, I think if it gets down to 65, I think it's gonna wick down. Yeah. I don't. You know, maybe it doesn't go into one swoop down to 62,000, but I do think that if it goes under 65, you'll probably see like 64.2 or something of that nature, and then it might bounce back up from that point.
And we've seen some. This is classic Bitcoin price action, right? You see it. If you're a trader and you're on the charts all the time, you'll see it happen all the time. You'll get the little thing below 65K or 66K or 60, whatever round number you want to pick. You'll see a wick below and it'll come back up. Wick below, come back up. Wick below, come back up. The fourth time it just drops. It drops and drops and drops. Next thing you know, you're looking at your trade. You're like, holy shit, if you're in a short, you're making money. I do want to give a shout out to, damn, that's a long ass name. Shamo Muhammadu Muhammadu Muhammad Ahmed 3085. Said Bitcoin short 64.2, touch, then instantly top 67.9. So what our friend here with the really, really long name with the 4 digits at the end, sounds like he's saying short Bitcoin down to 64.2 and then reverse your trade, roll it over into a long up to 67. I could potentially see that happen on BTC. I'm just kind of monitoring the lower time frames here, seeing if we're seeing any sign of reversal.
64.2, that's what I just said.
Yeah,
too, so
yeah.
I think that makes sense. I mean, my concern is just whether the bounce comes now or the bounce comes from there. You know. Yeah.
And Bitcoin right now is at 65, almost 5. So we're dead even on our trade. I told you guys this thing might take a little bit of time to get in, but either way, we're in the trade, and we expect this thing to break to the downside at some point. While we're waiting for that, I do want to take a look at the markets. I'll actually throw it over to Rob. You want to take a look at CMC, Rob?
Yeah.
I know ICP. There's gonna be an ICP video coming out later today. But what are you seeing on CoinMarketCap in terms of like the biggest gainers and the top 10?
All right, so moving past Bitcoin, we got Ethereum. It is under 2,000. It has been finding that as resistance as of lately, and you can see here that on the 1 week we lost 2,000. When was it? 2 days ago, and so we've come up 3 times now and hit 2,000 as resistance. It's not a good place for ETH. The last time we were under $2,000 was back in April. And so back in April, we were down under 2,000. It was short-lived, though. We were only down there for a month and a half. And so outside of that one scenario, you got to go back to 2023. So we had a month and a half of trading under $2,000 since 2023. And, you know, doesn't bode well on the charts, though. You know, ultimately, this is a leveraged play against Bitcoin currently. Do you agree, David? On ETH. Now, there's some outliers. You know, we got Hyperliquid, we got Canton.
ETH is not.
You got BNB, Tron. These are all outliers. However,
ETH is not an outlier.
Yeah, ETH is not an outlier. ETH is going to be a leverage position versus Bitcoin. And so, you know, whatever direction, because right now I think there's uncertainty in the markets, and, you know, whatever direction we anticipate Bitcoin to go, you're just going to get more upside or downside to ETH's play. ETH on the 1 hour looking very similar to Bitcoin. Also, I do think that, you know, this is the same levels that we were looking at, 2 different levels. For me was the big candle wick when Bitcoin went down to 60,000. And here you're at 1750. So 1,750, I think, is a potential bottom here. It's where the wick bottom came in before. Rob, and then also you got 18 1825 or 1850 here. So $100 difference between those two areas.
What was the October 10th low?
October 10th?
Yeah. Remember when everything?
Yeah.
Cosmos, I think, literally went to zero. I'm curious because I was in some TA on Cardano yesterday. That is where Cardano is almost at right now. And so what are you on? The daily, October 10th.
Right here. We got down to 3,000.
Oh, that's on Bitunix. Okay, it's not going to show that one. Let's go to.
So it got down to 3,400 there on the daily.
I want to see it on from Binance.
Remember on the 10th, it was over $4,000. I mean that wasn't that long ago. You know, we were looking at a $4,000 Ethereum. Yeah, I got down to 3,400 here on Bitunix.
Oh, so ETH didn't get pummeled like the rest of you. Yeah, I'm looking at Binance.
It had more liquidity. So
yeah, you're right. ETH got up down to 34.68. But a lot of the other altcoins. Okay, so never mind on what I was trying to do. But in terms of Cardano, we saw that thing go down to 25 cents, which is exactly where Cardano is right now, as Bitcoin's seeing a rejection at that 21-day moving average. Just kind of scrolling through the lower time frames. When I'm in an active trade, I like to do this on the lower time frames to see if there's anything invalidating my current trade. We are potentially looking for a inverse head and shoulders to play out here. If it does, then maybe we'll reevaluate our position. But as of right now, man, I still feel good about this trade. 5-minute getting rejected at this liquidity level. 15-minute, we're seeing decreased volume on the moves up. That's a good sign for our short. 30-minute, nothing to see there. 1 hour looks fine as long as we don't get that greened out there. And then 2 hours still looks good to me.
You know, the one of the bigger gainers, or the biggest gainer on the 24 hours is River, up 20%. This is something that we've seen a ton of volatility. I know you hate trading it. It is up 70%. I would say that this is probably one of the best entry positions currently for a short. I mean, you can look here, what's forming. You got a head and shoulders here, which, you know, obviously we're overextended. We're up 20%, up 7% on the 1 hour. You look at River here, what I think is going to happen, this is on the 1 hour time frame, is for us to come in, put in the right shoulder here, and then ultimately shoot down maybe to about right here, I would say. So so from $19, from $20 down to 14, 15, I think is where we're going. If I had to put in a trade setup, let me take a look at the lower time frames here. So on the lower time frames,
you can crack River, because I refuse,
dude. Even on the lower time frames, it looks extremely similar. I mean, we came in. This was a big area of resistance, which we were not far off of, which is $21.45. Currently, right at that $21 at the moment. I think your best position would be to get an entry point. I mean, I'd even like going in. Let's see, what would be a good entry point position here on River?
You're talking about for a short, right?
Yeah. 21.25, I think, in case it doesn't get quite as high as there.
21.25.
Yeah.
Let's see what that looks like.
So 21.25, enter into a short, get tapped in there, write it down.
What time frame are you on?
You can write it down easily too, I would say, because this I'm looking at the 15 minutes.
If you nail it, you can make a lot of money.
Yeah, I think this is going to be your first, because we have multiple tap points here on the 15-minute. You got we came down and hit this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times before ultimately we took off. So $19.40. So tap in at 21.25.
What's your stop loss?
Stop loss. I mean, you're in uncharted territory, so I mean, you know, pick a number.
Oh no, we've been up to 80.
No, I know, but I mean currently, dude. I mean this. I mean, on the macro side, you know, this could be a clean reversal. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's a psych out though, dude.
And it's gonna spill over. The one thing I keep my eye out on the 15-minute looks like a big ass inverse head and shoulders playing out. I mean, a massive one. Right, there's your left shoulder.
So last time was at the beginning of the month. Beginning of the month is when we ultimately put in the bottom here. So February 1st went down $11, found its bottom. Remember, it was at 80. It was basically $90 was the top ultimately. $90 at the top. Yeah, it went down over 95% here.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
And then bounced up to $23. So,
yeah. Rob, you want to check the door? I think something's there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, so here's a setup. So as Rob was kind of talking, I got this in here. So Rob was saying entry 21.25 for River. I don't know if you gave a stop loss, but I would honestly probably go up to like, I don't know, give yourself some room here. And guys, just to be clear, I am not trading this. It has been the bane of my existence. No matter what the technicals tell me, maybe it's because I'm looking at it subjectively instead of objectively, and I'm cooking myself on these trades. But for those of you that are not, if I am speaking objectively, I want to give myself, I don't know, maybe a 0.5% or maybe like, I don't know, 1% leeway to the upside, putting our stop at 21,667. Let's move that down, 21,667. And honestly, if this does end up being a massive inverse head and shoulders, right? Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, I do think we bounce here at your VWAP. And so if you were to get greedy, and use something like that, it's a 7.5 to 1 risk to reward trade setup. So entry at 21.25, stop loss at 21.66, take profit at your VWAP midband 18.063. How do you like that for a trade setup?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you do got a big cup and handle here forming on the larger time frame. So, you know, ultimately you gotta think to yourself like, hey, what way is this going to play out? Because, I mean, you can see it here. I mean, you got a massive cup and handle forming. So, you know, is it going to continue? It's going to break out. It's another one of those positions where it's like, I think this moment is where the money is made. Are you going to, you know, ultimately get rejected here? You know, look at a head and shoulders pattern and then trade down to that $17, $18. I don't know. I think I'm leaning that direction. If there was a little bit more bounce out of Bitcoin, I would say like, hey man, we're likely to make up some ground here. But
bro, from my experience, this does not give two shits what Bitcoin does. It does not. And that's one of the reasons I started trading it, because it was one of the few altcoins that it was kind of moving on its own. I just couldn't figure out the fuck it was doing. I couldn't for the life of me figure out what it was doing. Everything screams down. It would shoot up, wick me out, and then go down. Vice versa, the same thing. So I kind of disagree with you. I don't think it's going to matter what Bitcoin does. But it's very, very highly manipulated, and so I would just proceed with caution. But
I will say though that over the last, you know, since the beginning of the month, right, since we put in the bottom, it has traded comparable to Bitcoin. This is Bitcoin and River's chart here. You can see that River in the blue massively outperformed Bitcoin here, and so are we back to the medium where it's, you know, ultimately, hey, get in line? Because I will say this. You can deviate from Bitcoin, but it's only for so long. And as your market cap grows and you get closer and closer to Bitcoin's price, or at least Bitcoin's market cap, and once you're in the top 50, at that point, you don't move that, you don't have these dramatic swings. And, this is still in the top 100. Zcash is a good example, right? Zcash performed well against Bitcoin. However, when Bitcoin really sold off and it lost its big support levels, Zcash did pull back. And I think that's a good example because you got a top, 20 market cap crypto in Zcash that is respecting the macro moves of Bitcoin and the macro moves of the crypto market. And is there still going to be a big deviation out of River? I think so. I'm not sitting here to say it's going to trade inside step, but are we going to see another outperformance of River compared to Bitcoin? At least not to the extent that we saw before. I'll say that. What we saw here, we were talking about a very small market cap. When you go into the market cap, you can see that the market cap of River at the time that it deviated was at $500 million. At its peak was $1.6 billion. So it had 3x'd up into getting to $1.6 billion versus Bitcoin. And then at that point, it just got way too big and it kind of sold off a little bit. And so I don't know. We'll see. But I do like River. I do think that you got a potential short position. I do like it. On the macro, it's not really looking as advantageous, but
I think Bitcoin's about to have a big move.
Where is Bitcoin's price at?
65.6. This will be, I think whatever happens next will decide the decision. If we get a massive break to the upside and we get above 65.8, I think my trade, I'll probably close that out. But look at this. Volume's dropping and you got 3 indecision candles in a row.
So you think it's going to continue to the downside?
There's going to, the move is going to be either like 67.8 or it's going to be 64,000. This is chop consolidation on decreased volume, right? And I'm just zooming through the time frames again. This is the 10-minute. 10-minute looks like momentum. RSI starting to roll over again. 15-minute. Volume is dropping. Heikinashi is telling us we're starting an uptrend. We need that second candle to confirm the uptrend with Heikinashi. 30-minute. Green dot, or this was a double green dot. It's a single green dot on the 30-minute. I'm curious to see what Bitcoin does at 66,000 even, as it's right now. You're seeing that. Look at that breakout there. Look at that breakout. So 66K is going to be an important level to see what Bitcoin does. If it gets rejected, I feel fairly confident. Something like this, Rob, on the 30-minute time frame. We open at 66. We go up to 66.5, and then we completely spill off. We retest it, fail, then we fall. We might see something similar, but we'll keep our eye out on what price does. This is the 2-hour. 2-hour, that VWAP is sitting at just below 66K at 65. What is that? 65,987. So again, that is going to be my personal line in the sand, whether I decide to stay in this trade or whether I decide to take my loss and move on to the next one. And so I thought Bitcoin was gonna drop a lot sooner than it is. I thought by now would have already caved. But so 2 indecision candles, and as of right now, that price is breaking to the upside. While we kind of monitor that, I do want to go over to ICP. Again, I said I was going to get an ICP video going for you guys today. That'll come out after the trading show. But just right off the bat, 30 minutes giving us a little bit of a bear flag here on ICP. We did have something similar on, I think it was XLM the other day, that did break, that broke the opposite, right? We had a bull flag that broke down. And so that got invalidated, but this to me looks like a clean-cut bear flag, and your measured move, depending on where this thing breaks, will bring you down to around $2.15. I don't know. What are your thoughts on ICP, Rob? I'll give my thoughts. And by the way, River is above $20. So if you you kind of followed Rob, then you're not too far away from getting tapped in on your.
Yeah, I know. I was saying entry point was it 20? What did
21.25.
21.25
On River?
Yeah.
21.25. That's what you said.
Okay. What was the question before you got over to that?
ICP.
All right, ICP, where we at? So I'm going to take a first a look here on the macro. I'm expecting a big sell-off to be following Bitcoin. This has not deviated too dramatically from Bitcoin. You can see that. Jesus, man, what a sell-off.
Pretty ugly. Bitcoin.
I'm just waiting for a change of character here. I mean, you got a massive. Let's see here. Let's move this. Probably do that there. I think this probably more or less kind of encapsulates the move here.
New 1 hour candle open for Bitcoin red while you're going through that.
I think this is more or less what we're seeing, and I think that the downward trend has been obviously is broken. I think that this was a bottom. So what do I think? Do you have a trade position in on?
I do not
ICP
have a position
just yet?
in on ICP, but if I were to trade it, I would trade the breakout here of this bear flag on the 30-minute. Same thing on the 1 hour. The one thing you got to keep an eye out on the 1 hour is a potential long trigger wave. 2 hour, I mean, momentum just caved on the 2 hour. I mean, you got that overlap of the RSI over the stochastic. VWAP is trending down. Money flow crossed into the red on the 2 hour time frame. So and Bitcoin is currently on the way down. We'll see. And I'm just monitoring this because we have an open trade. I'm curious. Those of you watching, if you followed us on this Bitcoin short, put a 1 in the chat. If you didn't, don't put anything in the chat. I'm curious how many people are kind of following us on the trades. Haven't changed anything right now. Those of you that are in the trade with us, stop loss 66,142, take profit 64,595 as our trade crosses back over into the green. But there's just been a lot of indecision and volatility in Bitcoin. I do think ultimately it falls down. We did get a red X on Market Cipher 8 on the 5-minute. And that's the other thing I use. So those of you using Market Cipher, you can look at it in groups. You can say, okay, we've seen a lot of weird things. Manipulation, rally. Manipulation, rally. Baby blood diamond, red X. You can even go to the lower time frames. You see a bunch of these stacked together. It's typically, and I'll say it to you straight up this way. I don't think I've ever found myself using Market Cipher A for long bias or long side entries or confluence. I haven't. Outside of maybe the ribbons, right? The ribbon 1 through 8. Everything else, I use it for shorts. Example. Here's a prime example. Red X, move up. Red X, move up. Red X, red X. Ultimately, it completely collapsed. Okay? If I go back further, let's go back further. I don't know. Let's see if we can find any other examples here. Here you go. You had a reversal, then it continued to go up. You had a baby blood diamond, then you had a blood diamond. We had a small relief rally, spill off. Yellow X, yellow X, yellow X, all the way down. The last yellow X brought us all the way down to 66,270, and price started at $69,000 even. Right, baby blood or blood diamond, rally, blood diamond, spill off from 67.6 to 66.6. So it went down $1,000. That's what we're seeing again, right? 5-minute. Red X, indecision, 2 yellow X's, baby blood diamond. So there's confluence for me to feel confident to stay in this to the short trade. By the way, how many ones did we get? We get any ones? Damn, none of you are following Mike. That's messed up, bro.
Crypto Hand says 2. I'm too broke.
Fair enough.
So I was kind of just looking at the ICP chart here on the 4 hour. You can I was just kind of drawing out some stuff, just taking a look on the macro move here. You went from $4.75 ultimately, candle wick high there. And since then, since January 26th, we have just seen nothing but downward price action. And it looks like we have found a bottom at $2.20. I think ultimately this is contingent on what Bitcoin does. But you can take a look here. I got some different levels lined out. So the top level here, which is the $3.10 range. This one we blew straight through, went down, but we found support. Now the reason I drew this level here was because I want to keep an eye out for what could ultimately be an area of resistance on the way up. This was an area of support on the way up the first time. I think that at our current levels, I think $3.10 is about as good as it gets over the next 2 weeks. And so,
are you talking about if ICP sees a relief rally?
Yeah. Now, ultimately, you are seeing a break of trend here. We have been trading down, and now we're consolidating. We're rounding out bottom. It's just typically what you want to see. You just got to be very careful because ultimately you could just this could just be the next, you could have another one of these moves, right? You could have said the same thing here. If you were to take a look at, if you would have taken a look here, you could have said the same thing. You could have said, hey, we had a relief rally. You had a relief, you were trading down, and then, hey, we started to consolidate, and then ultimately you lost that and you came down. So what am I looking at for? One, the bottom here, $2.20. We also came down and tested this earlier this morning, about like 8 hours ago. We came down to 2025, and we came up to 2024. So we're at the support level. Now, will we bounce here? I think ultimately, let's take a look. Ultimately, got to take a look at Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin loses 65,000, I think what you're going to see is we're going to go back down to 220. If Bitcoin rallies, I think that you go back up to $2.50. So $2.50 is, I think, is the move. So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm short. I'm right. Well, right now the trade's back in the green right now.
Okay. And when you look on the lower time frames, it's you got this big bear flag situation here, right? And so it looks like you got the bear flag here.
So right now we're in the profit of $100.
Do you have a trade on ICP?
No, I'm Bitcoin.
Oh, you're on Bitcoin?
Yeah. Bitcoin just rolled over. It's at 65,290.
And you still got that position, right?
Yeah. There's the position is open. So you see my profit right now is around $91. You take out the fees, which we're at discounted with Bitunix. We're at probably.
Now, we came down here earlier, and so this is 65.2, right? 65.2, 65.3,
65,080.
No, I mean I know this not the wick here. Yeah, these closes.
65,219.
So 65,219. So I think that's where we're gonna either bounce, and so we're either gonna bounce here at 65.2, or we're gonna go down to 64.2. So I think that's gonna be the line in the sand. I know that most of you are probably thinking, hey, if it's gonna bounce, if it's gonna have a pivotal move, it'll be right at 65,000. I don't think so. I think that currently, I think 65.2 is the number to keep an eye out. If you haven't entered into a position yet, maybe wait for it to see if it gets down. If it gets down to 65, like 250, maybe that's the trigger point. Maybe you put in a long position if it goes down there and it rebounds back up, or if you feel like it's going to continue to go down, that would be my entry point. What do you think about that entry point here?
That big move there. Damn. That South Park meme, and it's gone.
And let's go.
What I'm looking at is that those two moving averages look like they're about to cross. That would not be good for our trade. So if the 9-day crosses above the 21, right? Your 21's above. Your 9 days where it's getting rejected right now. If those cross, I'll probably get out of my trade. There's just a lot of indecision and volatility in Bitcoin.
But you can see, I mean, you're on the 5 minute. You can see the momentum is obviously reversed. You put in a top. We've gotten rejected here twice now. So rejected twice off of 65.7 ultimately, and now we're coming back down. It's just a matter of breaking down below 65.250, I would say, and if it breaks under that, then you're good. I think you're going to continue to the downside.
Okay, so any adjustments that you would make to this trade right here?
I wouldn't touch it, man. I think you're in a good spot because you're almost at break even, right? You're right there at break even.
We're at break even.
Yeah, you're at break even.
The only thing I'll say is...
The only thing I would say is that... No, you're in a good spot, man. You're in a good spot. I like it.
Yeah? Let's go to TradingView here. And again, a bunch of grouped market cipher A signals. Yellow X, red X, baby blood diamond, and we get a rally to the upside with a red dot here as momentum starts to shift to the upside. Someone in the chat said... what do they say in the chat? Al8101 said, I see your logic, but took a long. When the yellow X is stopped, time to long. I disagree to some extent from my personal experience. Also, shout out to the only person that's trading with me is Fovong Sengtan. Guys, these are some long-ass names. Can you shorten them so I don't butcher your names? I pride myself in properly saying the names, unlike some people. But it's really hard when there's names like that, and then the other Shamalaman.
The names like that. Yeah, very...
Well, like I can't even say. Can you say the name?
Of course I can say the name.
Yeah? Go ahead. Try.
No, man.
No? You can, but you don't want to try?
Get out of here.
Okay. Bit for Fun said, trading is the only thing I do in the bear market. Unfortunately, I suck at it. You know what, man? If you feel like you're not good at trading, trade the higher time frames and trade less. Okay? For people that can read a chart but aren't necessarily good at day trading or scalping, trade no less than the 4-hour time frame and make less trade.
You know what you do? You trade more, bro. You go in there. I'm not even trying to be funny, bro. But honestly, just lower your cost, right? Because I mean, trading's a skill. It's a skill like anything else. Like it's a skill like driving a car. You're gonna get better at it. If you drove a car, why is insurance premiums so high for a 16-year-old? Right? They don't have experience, right? They're not gonna know how to react to different situations that pop up in front of them. It's the same for trading. It's the same for any sport that you're practicing. It's the same for like training your physical body. It's all the same stuff, man. So honestly, just increase your trades. If you're trading twice a day or 3 times a day, you know what? Make it 15 or 20. It sounds kind of crazy, but instead of getting in with a $300 bag or $3,000 bag, just reduce it down by 90%. Your trading fees are off a percentage anyways, so it doesn't really make a difference. You know what? If you can turn profit off of $10 trades, then get the lumps out of the way. Get the learning curve out of the way with a smaller bag. Now, honestly, like try it out. Try little $10 trades,
Or demo trade.
Yeah, but demo trade you don't sweat. You don't sweat, bro. Like you demo trade, it's all cool. You're like, yeah, I got $20,000 position here. Like, yeah, nah. Get in there with some money. Put in $10. Try to turn your $10 into $15 or whatever it is.
That's a 50% move. That's pretty big.
Yeah, no, I don't mean it one. I don't mean it one trade, but
LVL said, and increase leverage to 100.
That is smart.
I got no room to talk because I've done some degenerate things on this show here. Ah. What's up, Mike? How you doing, man? 4 hour. If we can avoid our stop loss, the 4 hour looks good. There's your baby blood diamond on the 4 hour on increased volume, green, red dot. High time frames look good. My only concern is if the low time frames decide to wick us out on a stop loss. We're not protected by VWAP mid band. We are protected by the VWAP lower band. And so I think Rob's right. If the trade does go against us, I think we probably try to sniff out 66.8 to 67.5.
Yeah, sniff them out like a truffle pig.
Do the truffle pigs only sniff out the white ones or the black ones too? The white truffles? I know the truffle pigs for the white truffles for sure. But what about the black truffles?
I don't know. No idea. You know, they actually use dogs.
Who used to be a chef?
So traditionally it was pigs. That's how they first did it. That's how they did it in the back in the days.
Didn't
but
they try to do like platypus or beavers because they have the long bills? It's a joke.
Yeah, an aquatic animal. Yes, on land. Yeah.
Thank you.
No, they do dogs now. Dogs are the ones that they have a more of a heightened smell. So the dogs are the ones that go out there and find those things.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you all about
No, I'm good.
Okay, cool.
5 minute looks like Bitcoin's printing a little bit of an inverse head and shoulders here. So,
I mean, you're getting yeah, I see what you're saying there.
Yeah. Left shoulder, head, right.
Yeah. I think you're at that point, right? We were talking about it earlier. 65.7 is a place that we found resistance. I think that if you want to short it right now. I think that this is the point, right?
65.6.
Yeah. Because like
volume agrees with you. But here's my fear, though. We've knocked on this door like 4 times already. Usually when you knock on a door 3-4 times,
Not me, man. It's like Jehovah Witness at my door. They can knock 5-6 times. I ain't opening.
Fucking idiot, bro. All right. That'll do it for the trading show today. I want to thank you all for joining us. We'll be back on the trading show tomorrow.
Next 1 hour, we're at 64,000. Thank you.
The next 1 hour at 64K?
64.4.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. That means I make money. Thank you guys very much. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We got the morning show and the trading show tomorrow, so you get double Sin City. And until then.
Can we talk about Michael Saylor tomorrow?
Yes. He's unhinged.
And Charles Hoskinson dressing up in the McDonald's outfit, looking 100%. Like Grimace.
Yep. Duly noted.
All right. That's tomorrow. Come and check that out.
That's right, man. See you guys tomorrow.